Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, it's the Switch's third birthday, and I don't think we bought it anything. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We are going to be talking about the news from the week, including a lot of news coming out of PlatinumGames and Yacht Club. And then on Thursday, we're going to be doing The Legend of Zelda A to Z. But in the meantime, Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yep.
I have a quick question for you.
Lay it on me.
Chips and guacamole
Wonderful.
on the scale of like healthy snack
Oh.
to unhealthy snack.
Mm-hmm.
Where does this fall? Because chips, obviously, not
healthy.
Guacamole, maybe okay.
Okay, guacamole is a real it depends kind of situation because, like, if you are getting guacamole from, like, that little vacuum-sealed container,
Right.
I feel like there's got to be something in there that's making it not good for you.
Salt, if nothing else.
Right. Well, I mean, but if you're making your own, like, fresh guac, you're putting salt in that, too.
Salt, if nothing else.
If nothing else.
You're putting salt in there.
Geez, where? So, like, if I'm putting out chips and guac, am I thinking this is us having a healthy snack? I kinda do.
I know, but then I was thinking about it, and it's like, you're basically just taking chips.
Yes.
And then at best, adding something that's like
salty.
Right, exactly. So maybe you're actually I think of it as like I'm making a healthier choice, but actually maybe you're just compounding bad choices.
I mean, if you were just having like sliced avocado with like some salt, that's a pretty good snack.
That's okay.
That's a pretty that's okay. Mark
Yeah.
says. Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to like watch it with the chips. Like, don't use it as an excuse to eat a bunch of chips.
Right.
If you find yourself just eating a chip by itself, or like, oh, this one's only half a chip, so I can't dip it in the avocado, then I think you're in trouble.
I'm asking because I had chips and guacamole as part of my dinner.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
Is this like part of a balanced breakfast type thing?
Yeah, totally. As
We're
long
like-
as you get a tall glass of orange juice and half a grapefruit, then you're fine. Here's another thing that you can do to be fine. You can borrow my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. It's as easy as writing into us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com
and giving us a mailing address where we can send that thing and you can play it for as long as you want, or not play it for as long as you want and then send it on back. It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, it's the perfect program.
Perfect program.
Also, thank you to everyone who has left us reviews anywhere.
Yes.
But specifically those in the Apple Podcasts US store. Last week we got a bunch of reviews, so thank you to everybody. We mentioned Full Fox 88 on Thursday's show, but we normally shout people out on Tuesdays, so wanted to make sure that they were getting double shout out. Scooby Saves, Nintendo Collector 1989, Mate Samo, and J88 Fitness. Thank you guys so much for leaving us reviews. It really means a lot.
Yes.
And thank you wherever you get the show for leaving a review.
And if you have not yet left us a review, we would invite you to please do so because it makes us feel good. You want to make us feel good, don't you? Is that weird? Am I getting weird?
No, because you're right.
Here is one last thing. What's that? Another piece of housekeeping for something new that's going to happen. We are doing some retro games in April.
That's right. Last year in March, we had an entire retro month. April is 2020's retro month.
Yes. April 2020 is 2020's March 2019.
Absolutely.
Which is as catchy of a tagline as we could get
we'll
for
say it every episode.
We are doing the classics of the Super NES. Now, no. We've talked about Super Mario World on this show maybe too many times because we both go through periods of like playing it.
Mm-hmm.
But on April 2nd, we are going to be talking about A Link to the Past, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. On the 9th, we're going to be talking about Super Metroid. On the 16th, we're going to be talking about Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. And on the 24th, we're going to be talking about Star Fox. Now, all of these games are available on the Super NES Switch Online and on the Super NES Classic. And I believe they're all also available on various virtual consoles. So hop on board and play along with us. If you want to write into us with any questions or observations about any of those games, we're going to be shouting them out at the top of every episode for a little while now. But it goes Zelda, Super Metroid, Yoshi's Island, and then Star Fox. You can email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Anything else to add about that, Mark?
No, I think it's going to be super fun. I loved doing it last year.
Yeah, and also most of these games are like the best games of all time. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Mark, we got an email from a listener, from Brian, and the title of the email is Underrated Wii Games. And it says, love the non-Mario Wii game recommendations you guys made in the last episode. Boom Blocks is incredibly fun, and Rhythm Heaven Fever forever. While I would love to list dozens more, I will restrain myself and just suggest a couple of titles that get overlooked frequently. Are you ready for these?
Yeah.
Bust a Move Bash. Whether you're a huge fan of the series or not, this is the best entry. Also, the multiplayer is excellent. I've never played Bust a Move Bash. Have you?
No.
EA Playground. I may feel it may be targeted at younger players, but this minigame collection can be a lot of fun. It had tetherball, a paper airplane simulator, a Nerf-style on-rail shooter, to name a few. Another game that I'm not familiar with. Lost in Shadow is a platformer that takes place between two realms, reality and the shadows that their world casts. Very creative and a bit of a thinker at times. A lot of good suggestions here of games that I've never played. Mercury Meltdown Revolution. Think Marvel Madness with intuitive controls and puzzle solving, which sounds right up my alley. I love Marble Madness. Sonic Colors. He says, not to disparage the borrowing program, of which I am patiently a member of, but Colors was the last contemporary Sonic game I enjoyed until Mania came around. Thanks for all you do, Brian. P.S. Question for Mark. How did you not recommend A Boy and His Blob by Way Forward?
Oh, with the hug button?
Yeah.
It's a great point. My brain is breaking.
Here's the thing.
I don't know how.
I'll field this one. It's because I sprung the question on Mark.
It's true. I didn't have time to prepare.
That's right. But these are all great recommendations. So check those out. We also got an email from Matt, who wanted to get on the borrowing program. So he requested that. And again, all you have to do is email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. But he adds a little note here. You guys were talking about new games added to the NES Switch Online and mentioned that you didn't know much about Eliminator Boat Duel. In fact, I believe we made fun of it for a little bit. It's a one-on-one boat racing game. 2 losses at any point in the game, and you're eliminated. It also has a typo on the end label. I'm really nostalgic for the game. It has cool artwork, great music, and fun gameplay. I finally beat the game for the first time on the original hardware, and I thought I'd share the end screen with you guys. Please keep up what you're doing. So he did share the end screen. I don't see where there's a typo in it. In that I don't see where there's any text on it. It's just like a man and a woman sitting on a sailboat and like the sun is setting.
Wait, did he say that the typo was on the art or on the box?
I guess he said the end label, so I'm not entirely clear what that is. But in any event,
it's a good-looking couple on that boat.
It is a good-looking couple on that boat. You can tell they do well for themselves.
Yes. Looks like they enjoyed a day of extreme boat racing.
All right. Thank you so much, both of you, for emailing us. Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. So I've been a little bit pressed for time this week. I spent the weekend in Chicago, which means I had 2 long plane rides in front of me. And the best thing for long plane rides, I have decided, is the Nintendo 3DS. Nothing travels as well as the Nintendo 3DS. It folds up, it goes into a tiny little pocket in your backpack or in your pants, and you don't have to worry about it at all. When I travel with my Switch, I still worry about it, even though I have like a case. But like it just takes up so much space in my bag. I'm very happy that I didn't bring it with me to Chicago. So I played 2 games. 1, WarioWare Gold. A perfect WarioWare game.
And feels like the perfect plane game as well, because
Yes.
I find that I have trouble concentrating on like full media experiences
Yes.
on planes, whereas like something that's just really kind of like frantic and I can pick it up, do a couple, put it down is like perfect.
Something that is like freshly demanding of my attention every 4 seconds. So that and sort of on the opposite end of the spectrum, the other game I was playing was Picross 3D 2. Which, you know, is just a long time of you staring at a screen and then eventually being like, this one. So I was just having a blast doing that. And it's amazing how, like, I went through my period of like really being obsessed with Picross games, and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna dive back into it now, and I'm either going to not remember how to do this, or I'm going to have solved all the puzzles already. And neither were true. I had a ton of puzzles left to do, and I felt just as sharp and like clever at it as I did when I was doing it before. So I don't know if there's only one hurdle in learning how to do Picross, and it comes right at the beginning, and that's it. Once you've cleared the hurdle, it's like riding the bike. Or what? Or maybe I'm just like a savant or something.
Is there like a tutorial at the beginning of every
Yes.
Picross game?
Yeah, there is.
To like show you how to do it.
Yeah, to the point where I think when I was starting my like third Picross game, and it was starting with all the tutorials, I was like, all right, let's go. Let's get on with this. But it's, you know, they all the Picross games have like some little tweak on the formula to you know, kind of keep them fresh. And so having that sort of re-tutorial session is also good to figure out how the new mechanics like feed into that.
And it seems like a Picross like kind of works best with a touchscreen, right? Because there's probably Switch versions, but it just seems, and I guess
which you would still like on the plane,
you would still do in like
handheld
screen mode, yeah.
Yeah, and that's it's I really like how it is a touchscreen game that does require you to use some buttons, like the you know, when you're just like marking a block as like you're not ready to remove it yet, but you just want to like mark it. Like in Picross 3D is either this has to be an orange block or this has to be a blue block. When you're not actually tagging it yet, you kind of like trigger changing the pencil with the D-pad or the L button. So like you're just doing that and then using the stylus for the rest of it. It's very handy and very nice to play on a nice light 3DS. I don't know that it would be as easy on a Switch, but I mean, whatever. Picross is Picross, baby. Okay, well, those are the games that we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Thursday, March 5th, Murder by Numbers
More
is
Picross!
released.
wasn't even the thing that I was planning of like, let's get back into Picross. But
more Picross.
Murder by Numbers is, of course, the murder mystery game that takes place in old Hollywood, where the method by which you find clues and solve puzzles is by playing Picross. Mark, could we be more excited for this game?
I don't think so. Oh. I mean, the art is by an artist who worked on the Phoenix Wright series,
as is the music.
So yes, I'm very excited for this.
Oh,
it is right up our alley.
Yes.
And then on Friday, March 6th, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX is released for Switch.
Less excited about that one. We checked out the demo a couple weeks ago, There's no reason for me to go back into that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right, cool. All right, let's close out the new releases here. Now it's time for a regular segment on this show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today we had such a nice time talking about musicals last week. We have decided that we are going to rank the songs in a musical. And the musical that we have landed on here, because we did not really have time to prepare, is The Lion King. Now, are we doing The Lion King, the stage show? Not really, no. In fact, no.
In fact, not at all.
Right. We are going to be ranking the songs from the movie The Lion King.
Yes, the animated film.
What a amazing other thing that we have to specify, and not the live action film.
Right, with heavy air quotes.
Right,
animated film from last year.
Yes,
but the original from 1994.
So, Mark, why don't you tell us what those songs are first?
So, Circle of Life, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, Be Prepared, Hakuna Matata, and Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Now, I will also put forward that we should perhaps consider the track To Die For, which is the musical cue that plays when the hyenas start
the wildebeest
stampede that ultimately kills Mufasa.
Okay.
Because it is a kickin' piece of music. It is very good and is very exciting and has like these big choral parts. And ends with the saddest music that Disney has ever put to film.
Sure, yeah, we could totally throw that in there.
All right, wonderful. Second thing that we have to consider is, are we taking the Elton John versions of the Circle of Life, Can't Wait to Be King, and Can You Feel the Love Tonight into consideration?
Oh, I don't know that I've ever heard the Elton John version of I Just Can't Wait to Be King.
So it is worth putting on, if I can. No, actually, it's not. It's too complicated to get it and also have the 433 playing. It has a kind of a rockabilly sensibility to it.
Interesting.
I mean, I think either way, it's on the bottom of the list for me.
I think so too, which is weird because it's a great karaoke song. If you can find it, if you can find a good version of it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say if you can find a good Zazu.
You can do both parts.
Yeah, sure.
Also, for me personally, Hakuna Matata, not as low as I Just Can't Wait to Be King, but not super high up there.
Yeah, it does feel like a bottom tier song. The thing is, I don't know that I like it so much less than Can You Feel the Love Tonight. Can You Feel the Love Tonight, I feel like, as it appears in the movie, is confusing. And I don't, how it functions dramatically, I'm like, they just re-met it doesn't make sense that they're falling in love.
Right.
But also it's the first time that the movie's yeah, I don't know, they have inner monologues that are singing and neither of them sound or look like the characters. And it's just what is happening in this song?
Yeah, it definitely serves a narrative purpose.
Yes.
Pretty much.
But it does have the I can see what's happening.
Is that that's a point in its favor? Okay. I will posit that Be Prepared is maybe my favorite musical number from The Lion King. I think it's the last of the great Disney villain songs. Maybe just the last Disney villain song, full stop. Oh no, I guess there were some in Pocahontas. And the one in Hunchback is really good, but super dark.
Yeah.
The last fun one, as fun as Hyena Nazis can be, is Be Prepared.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess there's because Disney has kind of shied away from their being villains, right? In their movies. So that makes sense that we haven't really seen one since. I would argue that Circle of Life is the best song.
Is the better song.
Just because, I mean, I challenge you to watch the opening sequence of, and I understand this is combining the visuals with, so it's maybe not just the song, but the whole number as it appears in the movie. But I challenge you to watch the opening of The Lion King and not feel something.
Oh, I completely agree.
When the screen cuts to black and it's boom, and it says The Lion King.
Yeah, the opening is
I've got
amazing.
Goosebumps right now.
Yeah, I have a memory that was a trailer in theaters. Was just they just showed that opening sequence.
I mean, it's basically perfect. Oh, great. I guess we'll never know how this ends. This is maybe the most unrewarding 433 we've ever done.
I think like it is.
We mostly had it.
We can do it pretty quickly.
Okay, great.
I think Circle of Life.
Number 1.
Be prepared.
Number 2.
To
die for it.
Yes, to die for.
And then Can You Feel the Love Tonight, Hakuna Matata.
And then I Just Can't Wait to Be King.
Perfect.
Great.
We were accompanied today by the Dopia Big Band. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
GDC, the Game Developers Conference, has been postponed due to growing concern around the conference's from the conference's organizers around coronavirus. This comes after a week of companies like Sony, Microsoft, and Facebook pulling out of the convention. GDC usually lasts for a week in March and is held in San Francisco. It's unclear when the event is being postponed to. For their press release, GDC's organizers alluded to or would like to see it happen in summer, but obviously they're not making any like firm commitments.
Yeah, so this is a little bit in the vein of what we were talking about a couple weeks ago, of like that we have yet to really see the sustained effects of coronavirus on the games industry, and the Game Developers Conference in particular is like a weird little like weather vane that's like kind of pointing in the direction of maybe this is going to be a bigger deal than we were expecting.
Like this past weekend, PAX East was held in Boston.
Yep.
And there were companies that had dropped out of like having a presence there, but the conference still went on. But I just wonder, like, as more weeks pass and we see just like how the virus continues to spread, or if it continues to spread, like what more effect we will see.
Yeah, I mean, I was at C2E2 this weekend in Chicago, and it was a packed show floor. DC and Marvel, like the biggest brands, were there, but no one's really traveling internationally for that show, and I think where there is a lot of travel involved, that we are going to be more likely to see shows either the attendance will be low from companies pulling out, or that they'll just be canceled altogether, until there's like we've got a real handle on this thing.
Yeah, all eyes are kind of turning towards E3 to see what the ESA is going to do. They put out a statement, kind of like how do you say this word? Assuaging participants' fears, assuring them that they are currently moving forward. There's no plans to cancel the show this June at this point.
Right. But I mean, it should be noted that GDC was only canceled last Friday, and it's in like a week and a half. So like, it's these are the kind of decisions that no one wants to make until you have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that E3 is at a place yet where they have to.
Totally.
Although it's weird because like I know that in GDC's absence that there are still a lot of like events and meetups and like little mini conferences going on in San Francisco anyway. Like if E3 were to be canceled, would EA still have their thing? Like, right,
and like
would
Microsoft would do their thing at LA Live?
Yeah, I mean it's weird that you can like cancel one thing and it's like, well, people are still coming, or like they still have their schedules cleared,
right?
They still have travel booked, and like there's still an appetite for whatever thing you've just canceled. So like, I don't know. I wonder how much it actually helps to cancel these things.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if nothing else, you are at least like as organizers, not like responsible. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, yes.
Like, yeah. I mean, not that I think that's the reason they did it, but that certainly is like, yeah, like people are free to do whatever they want, but we're not continuing to like host this thing that
we're not
like
inviting
has potential
them,
ramifications.
We're not inviting them to our specific petri dish,
right?
To mingle and spread the disease around.
Yeah. Platinum Games News Corner. We'll be talking.
We go live to the
about
Platinum News
Games.
desk.
The second of the Platinum 4 was revealed last week. A game called Project GG will act as the conclusion to Hideki Kamiya's superhero trilogy that started with Beautiful Joe and was continued with Wonderful 101.
Yeah, so just a little bit of context. The Platinum 4 is, of course, Platinum put up a website that had the numbers 1 through 4 listed on it, and the first number was the re-release of Wonderful 101.
Yeah, the Kickstarter.
And then the second one is this brand new game.
And then, so I didn't even realize that there was a trilogy type thing going on, but apparently Beautiful Joe was about a solo hero. Wonderful 101 was a game about a group of small heroes, and Project GG will be about a giant-sized hero like Ultraman.
So you'll be fighting kaiju and stomping around in cities and stuff. As someone who's not played either of the first entries in this trilogy, I'm always happy to see like more weird Platinum stuff coming around. But yeah, I don't really have much in the way of expectations for this.
When IGN asked about a release date, Kamiya responded, "Put it this way, we're not looking at something as long as 3 years, nor will it be as soon as half a year or a year. But as our first self-owned and self-published game, we want to deliver it as soon as we can. Hey, I don't have any desire to release games quickly. My only desire is to release games that are good."
Which I love that he's like, we're not looking at something like 3 years, but it won't be a year or a year and a half.
Right.
So like it'll be about 2 years. Kind of what he's saying. But one of the things that he mentions there is that this is their first self-owned and self-published game. That is true. That Project GG is the first game wholly owned and published by PlatinumGames. Previously, it's all been partnerships with Nintendo, with Sega, with whomever. To actually make and put out these games, but this one is all theirs.
Are you worried that Bayonetta 3 is in some kind of trouble because we haven't really heard anything about it since the announcement?
Are you asking me?
Yes. I feel like Platinum gets asked about this anytime anybody talks to anybody from Platinum.
Yeah, look, Bayonetta and Bayonetta 3 has a little bit of the Metroid Prime 4 thing going on, where it's like a game that we know. First of all, it's like a hardcore game, right? That's coming to the Switch and that we know is coming someday, but we don't have any information about it.
Yeah, other than the announcement,
yeah.
Right? We know absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Jimatsu at PAX East asked Kamiya, and he responded, quote, "There's nothing to worry about at all. There's nothing to worry about. Things are going very well. Really, there's nothing to worry about," end quote.
So what do you think? We should start worrying about it? I think we should start worrying about it.
That's the perfect response.
I love this quote. There's nothing to worry about at all. There's nothing to worry about. Things are going very well. Really, there's nothing to worry about.
Repeating myself. My job
is repeating myself. I'm in television.
The third announcement in the Platinum 4 is not a game, but a game studio, Platinum Tokyo, which is a partnership with the Chinese mega corporation Tencent.
Which is interesting and sets a precedent. I guess even that number 1 wasn't a new game, but a re-release of an old game. It's interesting that each one of these things so far has been so different.
Right.
That one is here we're porting a game, here we're making a brand new thing and owning it completely, and then announcement number 3 is we've got a new studio. Announcement number 4 could be anything. Maybe they're making candy bars.
I do wonder if right, because they've talked about how the Platinum 4 and the new business model for Platinum is owning their IPs and self-publishing. Does this mean that Tencent isn't going to be publishing these games, that they're just providing funding? Basically, it's just an investment.
That's my understanding. Is
Tencent is making into Platinum.
But we look, for as wise as we appear to be, we do not know everything about Japanese and Chinese business, and certainly not how they work together. So there's probably a lot here we do not understand.
We've also learned that the Wonderful 101 launches on May 19th in North America and May 22nd in Europe. Really soon. It's
still amazing to me how quick that is after the Kickstarter. Obviously, they knew that it was going to happen anyway. But it's just cool to see that come to fruition so quick.
Last week, Shovel Knight developer Yacht Club Games did their own version of a Nintendo Direct, which they've done before, but which is good. because we are all desperate for a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are thirsty. We are in the desert.
It
right
feels
now.
overdue.
And also, like, I just want to underline how much it is like a Nintendo Direct. Like, they borrow the sort of like diagonal wipes and like the bright colors, and even it being hosted by one of the like guys from the studio, where he's addressing the camera directly and is like, seems good, right? Like asking the sort of questions directly of the audience that the Nintendo Directs do. It is It is a perfect parody of a Nintendo Direct.
Hey, if you're gonna steal from the best.
Exactly. And honestly, it's so charming and so pleasing to watch. So it's like a 12-minute video, and I would totally recommend, if you have any interest in Shovel Knight or Yacht Club Games, in watching this video.
So first things first, Cyber Shadow. This is a game that Yacht Club Games is publishing and was teased a couple months ago. It's a 16-bit ninja action platformer that looks like it's taking cues from Mega Man X and Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
There's going to be amiibo support, which is actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
All 4 Shovel Knight series amiibo unlock unique robot helpers and matching color palettes for your ninjas.
I love that Shovel Knight has made enough of a brand for themselves that they're like, you're going to use your Shovel Knight series amiibo for this. It's not, look, you can't use your Peach amiibo. You can't use your Splatoon amiibo. I don't know why I said Peach like it was a series, but you can't use your Mario amiibo, your Smash amiibo. You have to use Shovel Knight.
Is this the first example of like a third party using amiibo in this way? Like, has Capcom done it for any of the Mega Man collections or anything like that?
Yeah, the Mega Man Legacy collections. I mean, there's a gold one that was a gold Mega Man amiibo that was bundled with the first Mega Man Legacy collection, and it did unlock something. But,
cool.
For life of me, I can't remember what.
Yeah, I like seeing this. I think that's really fun.
Yeah, me too.
And Cyber Shadow will be released in fall 2020.
I just want to point out that it is inconsistent in. Anytime that they show the title screen of the game, Cyber Shadow is hyphenated. But when they show like the box art graphic for it, Cyber Shadow is 2 words. So we got ourselves a real Spider-Man situation here, where we don't know exactly how it's spelled. I'm going to go hyphen.
I know, we desperately need to know the nomenclature.
I mean, look.
Is it all in capital letters?
Well, that's a great question. Here's the thing. I have decided that I am all about this game. It looks so good and so snappy and so fast.
So you need to know how to like properly address it.
I need to. Look, I committed to memory Dragon Quest XI as Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch because I respect the game.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to know how I'm going to address this
Pledge
thing.
fealty.
Yes, that's right.
To Cyber Shadow. There was a little retrospective on Shovel Knight's development and release, stretching back to 2013 when the game was first kickstarted, to 300 times their target goal.
300 times.
Also crazy that was 2013.
Yeah, and that basically, I mean, obviously they've been selling copies of the game, but that is enough like seed money, enough runway to like get them going.
Yeah.
All the way through, and we're 6 years later now.
To celebrate the final release of the complete treasure trove, Shovel Knight stickers are now available for chat apps for 99 cents.
So you had better believe that I bought those because I've got $1. And I want to send little stickers of Shovel Knight. I sent one to my buddy Pete that is just Shovel Knight, and it says greetings under it.
Worth a buck, for sure. Also, version 4.1.0 is coming with some display options, rebalances to Showdown, and a new mode called Character Gauntlet for Targets mode.
Which they said that it can only be accessed by, first you have to unlock all the characters, and they showed the full like character screen, and I realized we have a lot of characters to unlock
really?
still.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
But once you unlock all the characters, you have to like enter a cheat code in order to access this, and they showed the cheat code in the video, which is hilarious. I'm sure that'll be in Shovel Knight Showdown wikis and stuff. But if you have unlocked all those characters, look that up because that'll be a fun like way to. You go through the target mode, and every time you complete a challenge, it like kicks you into the next character. Like while the game is happening.
Oh, cool.
So you're like cycling through them and like presented with each of the characters' individual target challenges one after another.
Also, Versus Joustus is also available as part of King of Cards.
Yeah, so Joustus is the card game within King of Cards that I was like, this is something I will never get into. And thankfully, the game's like, that's fine, you don't have to. But if you enjoyed Joustus and you always wanted to play it against someone, you now have the ability to do that within King of Cards.
We also got an update on Shovel Knight Dig, which is the first game in the Shovel Knight oeuvre that's being developed by an company that's not Yacht Club Games.
And it should be noted is not part of the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove.
Right, it's its own thing. We got a look at Hive Knight, which is some kind of bug.
He's cute. I don't know if you saw this design. He's really cute looking. He looks like a little bug guy.
And then we also learned that Shovel Knight Dig will be coming out next year, which is long release or development cycle. And then 2 additional games are in development. They mentioned new IPs and the Year of the Rat. But the Year of the Rat thing might just be a joke.
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out because they're like, we've got 2 new games coming that we're starting to develop here in the Year of the Rat, and it's like, what are they just like?
Oh, right, but why are they being so specific?
Yeah, why are they
about,
saying
the Chinese
Year of the Rat?
Yeah,
right. Or is it just part of the whole playing into the Nintendo Direct awkwardness of here we're just giving you more information that's irrelevant to anything that's going on. And they show blurred out computer screens and blurred out notebooks where they're obviously working out something cool. But yeah, it's intriguing to me. I mean, of course the studio's doing well, so they've got a lot of projects in development. I cannot wait to see what they put out after the Shovel Knight stuff.
And then but they're not quite done with Shovel Knight yet. They revealed Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, a falling block puzzle game across with an overhead dungeon crawler that has no release date yet.
Yeah, so this is a mix of things, one that I love and one that I have not been able to get into. I love falling block puzzle games. I don't really like overhead dungeon crawlers, but I do love Shovel Knight, so I don't know.
Are they developing this one internally?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Although maybe not. I'm not entirely sure. The video wasn't super clear. But it seems cool. And there are multiplayer head-to-head battles in it like you would expect in any kind of Tetris game. But it's neat that you're controlling Shovel Knight on this kind of overhead map while things are falling from the top of the screen or the north side of the screen. Feels very Wario's Woodsy to me because the way you interact with that game is by controlling Toad as blocks are falling on him. But there's also an element of Necrodancer to it too, because every time you move, the blocks fall down one. So it's a very if you need to wait a second and just watch, stuff isn't gonna fall until you move again. It seems cool. The game looks really neat.
Multiplayer is coming to Mario Kart Tour, the mobile game, on March 8th.
Your favorite Mario Kart game?
That's right. Previously, the game had you racing exclusively against bots. It seems like it took usernames and had them over the heads.
Yeah, it was really weird, right?
Of the computer players.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were kind of faking competition against other players, but it seems like you will finally be able to for real.
Did anyone ever determine what was actually going on there? Because when you were racing against other players in Super Mario Run, right? Weren't those ghosts based on that player's performance in a previous track? I mean,
probably.
Maybe.
I think that part is true. I never looked into what was going on with Mario Kart Tour.
Yeah.
My assumption was always that they were just taking people's usernames, and that was pretty much it.
So you could just imagine you were racing against someone.
Right, exactly. So starting next week, you'll be able to play with, quote, friends or other racers nearby. They did a beta test for this in December, but it was a Gold Pass subscriber exclusive. But starting next week, it'll be available to everybody.
Have you been keeping up with Mario Kart Tour at all?
I haven't. My focus has shifted back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
That's right. Is this enough to draw you back?
I'd be interested to try it out.
Yeah,
for sure.
I feel like it could be fun.
I think I'll probably get destroyed because
yeah.
I'm assuming I haven't played for a while now. and I'm assuming people who are like still playing or really into it have gotten a lot of like upgrades to their carts and their racers and get those bonus point and I'm like bonus point multipliers, and I'm just not going to have any of that.
Yeah, but since it is a Mario Kart game,
Uh-huh.
you know that the like ceiling for competition, like there's a really high ceiling, but there's also a super low floor.
Right.
And then it's a mobile game on top of it, so the floor is even lower.
Yeah.
I think you'll do fine.
Well, I appreciate your confidence.
Thank you.
Bubble Bobble 4 Friends got a North American release date. It's coming to Switch on March 31st.
I remain excited about this game. And I know we were just talking about Bust a Move earlier, and that I never didn't play that one. It's another game in the series. I will not make that mistake this time. I'm going to play Bubble Bobble 4 Friends, and I may do it all by myself, or I may gather 3 friends. Who knows? We'll find out at the end of the month.
Yeah. Google has been holding a vote for the 2020 Pokemon of the Year. Why they were doing this, I have no idea.
Google is doing this?
Yes. Google, I guess, for the past few weeks had been holding a vote. So here's the top 10.
Okay.
Your 2020 Pokemon of the Year, Greninja.
What?
The list only gets weirder.
Hold on, though. Does this sort of validate our choice of best Pokemon starter of Froakie?
100% it does. Yes.
Okay, so which caused, are we so influential in Pokemon circles that all Pokemon fans heard us say that the Froakie is the best starter and therefore voted its evolution, the Greninja, as the best Pokemon of all time?
Or are we so just tapped into
That's
youth
right.
culture that we just like
God,
knew...
I hated the way you said that. Or is it that we are all slaves to Super Smash Brothers and we're not expressing Pokemon opinions here, we're expressing Smash Brothers opinions?
Yeah, I truly believe that any of these are equally viable.
So that's number one. That's number one. How's the rest of the list go?
Okay, Lucario, Mimikyu was number 3, Charizard was number 4, Umbreon number 5, Sylveon, Garchomp, Rayquaza, Gardevoir, and Gengar.
Okay, but come on.
Some of these, I'm going to be honest, had no idea there was such a big following. Don't know what they look like.
No, like who's a big Garchomp fan? Okay, but what does this actually mean? Is it possible that Pikachu's not in the top 10? Is that possible?
I think it's possible.
I think
it's possible.
This is what Google is telling us, is that Pikachu is not in the top 10, which makes me think that there must have been some like Russian bot interference
right
here, and that Google
has
been
Discord.
Compromised. That's right.
Exactly. Or that Pikachu just didn't pay enough in AdWords to get ranked.
Right. And it looks like number 11 here is Pete Buttigieg.
Do you remember that an ARMS graphic novel series was announced by Dark Horse back in 2017 with a fall 2018 release date?
I recall that we talked about it on this show. Yeah.
Yes. Well, in May 2018, it was announced that the release was going to be of the first issue or book, whatever it is, was going to be pushed back to January 2019. But then that passed, and there has been nary an update since then. So according to Nintendo World Report, a Dark Horse rep at Toy Fair New York this past week stated that the series is still in the works, but there is no projected release date as of yet.
Okay. As someone who just had their first like big comic book published, it did surprise me how long it takes from having the idea to actually getting the thing printed and it being out in the world. But like,
and I could also see how dealing with Nintendo could be fraught.
Absolutely. But like 2.5 years
for ARMS, which I know it has its fans, but I don't know that those characters are necessarily like perennials.
Twintel, is that her name?
Yes.
I was trying really hard. Okay, let's do this without looking. How many ARMS characters can you name?
I think Twintel, Ribbon Girl, Spring Man.
What's the mummy's name?
I don't remember. And then there's also like the cop and its snitch dog.
Yeah, the cop and the snitch dog. Their names are like Bowser and Chomp Chomp. That's not right. Let's see. This is hard.
Yeah, there's like the one that looks like
The green one.
the green thing that you would see, like the waving arms air type thing going on.
There's the ninja guy whose name
There's
might just
the
be like
clown.
Ninjara or something.
Yeah,
yeah, there was a clown.
who's like a DLC character. I mean, I think we mostly
I
nailed
think we
it.
did it. I think we nailed it. And then Chun-Li, Ryu, and Blanca.
The creator of the Konami Code, Kazuhisa Hashishimo, passed away last week. His age was reported as 61 in some outlets and 79 in others, so it's a little unclear exactly. We don't really have a lot of details. Like Konami tweeted out something like like memorializing him, but like there hasn't been any details. Like
Interesting.
nothing like really specific in the West anyways. So
we
like,
assume that a Russian bot got to it.
It's unclear like exactly like I don't know if there's actually been a date when he died or anything like that. But so the Konami Code is the famous up up down down left right BA and then the start button, and it would be used to like unlock cheats or make the game easier.
Yeah, like level skips, extra lives, that kind of thing.
And so where it came from is Hashimoto was in charge of porting Gradius from the arcade to the NES, and he said that he had difficulty playing the game, so he put the code in because he was the one using it. He made it easy to remember.
That's amazing. Also, I feel like it would just mention the cheat code in the Shovel Knight Showdown to access the new mode. I think all games should have like the cheat code, some kind of cheat code to give you a level select or extra lives or whatever.
It definitely feels like it's fallen out of favor recently, but I completely agree.
It's fun to know a secret code, especially one that like, because the Konami Code obviously appeared in Gradius, but it also appeared in like every Konami game after that.
Oh yeah, it totally took on a life of its own, and like even video games not published by Konami, like people would pay homage to it by including it as a code in like their game.
Yeah. So it is sad that Hashimoto has passed. It's weird that we don't have more clarity about how old he was, but there we go.
Finally, today is the 3rd anniversary of the Nintendo Switch. Was released March 3rd, 2017.
Which means that's also 3 years of Breath of the Wild, and Snipper Clips, and 1-2 Switch.
And pretty close to 3 years for Snake Pass.
Yeah, pretty close. Man, so Mark and I got our Switches both at the Best Buy.
Mm-hmm.
We were standing in line. I was somewhere else before, like you had gotten to the Best Buy like maybe an hour or two before I did. And you were like holding our place in line.
Yeah,
right?
You had gone to see a movie, I think.
Yeah. Now it's impossible to know which one.
Really left a mark.
Yeah, that's right. It was obviously not as meaningful to me as picking up the Switch that night. And it was, I mean, everyone was just so excited. And it's one of those things where it's like when you go to the comic book store on Wednesday and you realize that there are people who go and just get all the Marvel stuff and all the DC stuff that came out that week, and they just have like a pull box full of, and you're like, well, you're spending like $400 a week on comic books, and they're like, yeah, I don't know, this is just my life. That like people who were in line for this thing were getting everything.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, I've got the Switch, I've got all the games, I've got all the Zelda amiibo, I've got an extra pair of Joy-Cons and a Pro controller, maybe 2. The people were just like, yeah, I don't know, I just have to get it all.
I also really like stuff like that now because I feel like with like pre-orders and online delivery, and just like game stores kind of going out of business in general, that it's really difficult. Like outside of fan conventions,
totally,
like this sort of like gathering with like-minded like Nintendo fans who were all excited about the Switch, and we were all there and just waiting to get in and like pick ours up. Like it was all really exciting. And outside of like midnight movie releases, which don't even happen at midnight anymore,
no,
like I feel like it's harder and harder to have those kind of like shared experiences, which, by the way, is why I think fan conventions like PAX East are becoming more and more popular.
Yeah.
Because it's really like, if you want to go and meet people who share your interests in person, like the opportunities to do that in day-to-day life have really dwindled.
I also think it was a very interesting time to, because like obviously everyone's excited, but like on the precipice of a new Nintendo thing, especially given like what the last like decade or so had been of like the Wii's sort of dwindling, like library, and then the Wii U being what the Wii U was, that like no one really knew at that point that Zelda was going to be as good as it was, or that the Switch was going to feel as good as it did. And also, like, if we were ever going to have more games available on it, like, we were all on the precipice of something and we didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I really wonder if Breath of the Wild hadn't released as a launch title.
Yeah.
If, like, there would have been so many people day one picking it up.
Yeah, I mean, probably not. It's hard to separate the two things, and like they feel so much of like a single piece or like a single ideology of play this thing exactly how you want to, which I always felt that Snipper Clips also did a really good job of, because there's no single way to solve any of those puzzles. It's all like based on like cut out the shapes that work for you, which is Zelda. You take the weapons that work for you, go the direction that works for you, which is just the Switch too. Play it where you want. Do you want to play it in bed? Do you want to play it on your TV? Do you want to play it on the bus? Like it was just a host of exactly what you want to do experiences. Yeah, it was just a great like turning point for Nintendo.
It's hard to imagine now the Switch not existing.
Yeah, it really is, right? And like here's an insane thing is that you and I started doing this podcast before we knew what the Switch was going to be. Like we had done episodes where like maybe we were just going to be talking about like the Wii U, which you didn't buy, and like 3DS games, and like we were just going to talk about Nintendo, and like maybe it was just going to be like a labor of love about a thing that we're slowly growing apart from. And it was like a real, shot in the arm to the show to have the Switch be good and to have Breath of the Wild be good.
Yeah, and just have like Nintendo kind of be relevant.
Yeah,
again.
Absolutely. And then one more thing, of course, since the third anniversary of the Switch means it's also the third anniversary of Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment. This is something that they mentioned in the Yacht Club Direct, that Spectre of Torment is discounted to 50% off on the Switch eShop and on other platforms. And it is my favorite of the 4 Shovel Knight campaigns. So if you're going to buy a Shovel Knight game in isolation, I would recommend that it be Spectre of Torment. And if you want to do that, you should do it now because it's cheaper than it normally would be. But also just get the whole treasure trove because it's all good. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. That is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts if you like the episode. You can share it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you share stuff. On Twitter, I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying up, up, down, down, left, right, be a start. Thanks for listening.
That's right, Nintendo Cartridge Society listeners, what is going down?
Are you ready for a promo?
Let's do yoga. Let's get fit.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Muriel.
And we're the hosts of Hella in Your 30s.
A podcast about a cool couple trying to do adult stuff.
So each week we invite you to join us as we try to learn things we should probably already know, like how does a stock market work? Can we install that bidet? Why are all of our houseplants dying?
This is a podcast for people of all ages because remember,
age ain't nothing but a number.
But being hella in your 30s is a state of mind.
So tomorrow's a new day, let's order pizza.
Campfire.